champions and the boxing superstars, where are you? I'm waiting, let's fight. I'm the most avoided boxer.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game is missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Alright, so listen, man, he's done it again. Tim Tszyu has done it once again. There's not really a whole lot to make of the whole Carlos Ocampo fight because he beat the brakes off Carlos Ocampo. It was what it was supposed to be, which was a straight demolition job. Which for Tim, I think it was cool for him because like he's had to fight some guys like Terrell Boucher, who's a very experienced counterpuncher. He had to fight more of a slicker fighter, really good back foot boxer, Tony Harrison his last fight. So it was good to actually see Tim Tszyu in there with a guy that you kind of knew was going to march forward and be an all-action fighter. Those are the fights. I remember Tim Tszyu saying that those are the kind of fights he lives for. I remember when I went to the media day for his American debut in Vegas, he said that those kind of things are what he lives for in boxing. So, you know, that. What is that now? Like what, two or three wins since the Charlo fight was scheduled? So we've been getting all these fights against Tony Harrison, Carlos Ocampo. And I'm telling you, man, one thing that I've learned about boxing, and it's been proven a lot, you know, it got proven to me again this year when Ryan Garcia fought Tank. It's been proven with Canelo when he's fought a lot of guys. And maybe it'll also be proven when Crawford fights Spence. We don't know, but activity matters. Like how often a fighter fights matters, because when a fighter isn't fighting for 14 months, 16 months, 18 months, however long the case may be, the number one thing that goes is their timing. And you look at Tim Tszyu, he's fought Tony Harrison, he's fought Ocampo and these kind of guys while he's been waiting for Charlo. And a lot of people like to bring up the fact that he got dropped by Terrell Boucher. Well, I'll tell you this, I think he's grown exponentially since the Terrell Boucher fight. I think the Terrell Boucher fight was a good thing for him. And I think Jermell Charlo, the injuries and him sitting out so long, it's gonna work against him, because now this is a lot more closer to a pick'em fight. Because if you would have asked me, let's say last year they would have fought, I would have said that Jermell Charlo would definitely beat Tim Tszyu because Tim Tszyu I didn't think had the proper experience when they were supposed to fight. But now you telling me Tim Tszyu's fought a guy like Tony Harrison, world championship, world class operator. Then he fought Ocampo. He's been probably one of the most active championship level fighters in boxing. Charlo hasn't fought since last May. He's coming off of an injury. It don't look good for Charlo. It doesn't look good for him. I'm not saying he can't win. He's definitely good enough and more than capable enough to beat a guy like Tim Tszyu. But it's definitely more of a pick'em fight now than it's ever been. And right now for me, I'd probably maybe like, if I had to give numbers on it, I would say it's like a 51 or 52-48 fight. I'm leaning just in favor of Tim Tszyu, only because of activity. If Charlo was more active, then I would lean more towards Charlo. But because of the lack of activity and the fact that this injury and all these circumstances with Charlo has allowed Tim Tszyu to fight and get more experience, it could spell disaster for him. Because let's just be real. Everyone has this, like, the last time we saw Charlo in a boxing ring was when he fought Castaño and he boxed a great performance and became undisputed. So that's the last image we have of him in our head. Most people have that in their head, but I have a long memory. So I remember Charlo being clinically outboxed against Tony Harrison in the first fight. And then I also remember Brian Castaño pushing him back and having his way with him in their first fight, right? So he had to rematch both those fighters, who I believe are both not as good as Tim Tszyu. He had to rematch both those fighters because he couldn't get it done right the first time. And he was getting beat up and he was getting outboxed. Like, he was losing those fights in different fashions. He lost Tony Harrison because Tony Harrison was patient and boxed off his back foot. He should have lost Castaño the first fight. The fight was closer than it should have been, and he had a lot of hard time in that fight because of the fact that Castaño was able to push him back and outmuscle him. And I don't think Castaño's as strong as Tim Tszyu. I don't think he punches as hard as Tim Tszyu, and I don't think he's as smart of a fighter as far as counterpunching is concerned as Tim Tszyu. So when I think about those things, I think of the fact that, yeah, like, Jermell Charlo is undisputed, but everyone's saying he's this like A++ fighter And while he is a very good fighter, I don't think he's a great fighter. I think he's a B+, B-level fighter in a B-level weight class where there's really no A-level guys. Now, Tim Tszyu looks like he might be an A-level fighter. I'm not sure. But I think the Charlo fight will answer our questions because Charlo is close to an A-level fighter. He's not there just because in the past, from what I've seen from him, is he just lacks consistency. He's not a very consistent fighter. 154 is like that. It's a very inconsistent division. So it's like, you know, I'm very intrigued with this fight. And when this fight does happen between Charlo and Tim Tszyu, I will be at this fight. This one of them, people always ask me, BT, what fights will get you like excited for boxing like the most? That fight right there to me is like top 5 matchup in boxing. Like to me, it's like Inoue Fulton level type of matchup. Great fight. Because if Charlo's at his best, you know, when Charlo's at his best, Charlo is a level fighter. He's just not at his best every fight. And a lot of that comes down to what? Activity or lack thereof. He hasn't been the most active fighter. So his skills aren't always the sharpest when he steps into the ring. And that's what he's going to have working against him when he fights Tim Tszyu. You see what I'm saying? But if he can somehow go on the ring and not miss a beat from the last time we saw him, then obviously Tim Tszyu will have his hands full because we saw Charlo in that fight. He was a master of distance, master of counterpunching, master of range. He was showing you different punch selection, power boxing, you know, throwing hard, educated, fundamentally sound jabs, keeping his defense tight and responsible. Tim Tszyu can sometimes abandon defensive responsibility. Charlo's going to have his chances to lump his ass up. So it's a great fight because both guys, you know, have shown vulnerabilities in the past. And they both come for blood and they both come to punch your lights out. So I think it's a close fight. I think it's actually probably one of the closest matchups in boxing. The way everyone's talking about Crawford and Spence being a close fight, I don't really feel that way about that fight, but I feel that way about this fight, Tszyu versus Charlo. I think either fighter can win the fight, and I definitely think that it's probably one of the closest matchups, evenly matched fights in the championship levels of boxing, and that's why I want to see it so bad. So yeah, that's my take on where, you know, I guess on the Tim Tszyu or Ocampo fight. Ocampo, bigger guy, come forward fighter, tailor made for him. So what happened, happened. But Charlo versus Tszyu, much different challenge for Tim Tszyu. But I think he's a challenge he's more prepared for now. Had he fought him after the Terrell Goucher fight, maybe we're talking about this being a 65-35 fight in favor of Charlo. But because he's gotten the experience and even probably the confidence of beating a Harrison and then doing the demolition job on Ocampo, it's a much closer fight. I'm leaning slightly towards Tim Tszyu only because of the activity. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you make of Tim Tszyu versus Charlo now after his fights against Harrison and most recently the demolition job he did in Ocampo? Are you still favoring Charlo? Are you sticking to your guns? Or has Tim Tszyu showed you enough to make you a believer? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Dang. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Hatanaka Boxing Gym in Nagoya, Japan. And for more great videos just like this one, make sure you guys click right here.